Thanks, Daniela. Yeah, so my name is Alisa. I'm really excited for everyone that is here. And I'm the founder of Re-gnosis, the coaching concept. And in our work, we basically help individuals, but also teams reconnect to what matters to them. So we coach them and then also guide them in the process of bringing it into the world. And on top of that, I'm also an avid nature lover and a sustainability advocate. I'm a mindfulness meditation teacher and a psychologist.
Thank you. And my name is Daniela. I'm collaborating with Elisa and very aligned with Re-gnosis mission. I'm working mostly as a freelance facilitator of transformational spaces, bringing different tools and methodologies to help individuals and groups to walk their path towards well-being and also their path towards systems regeneration. And I'm also a meditation practitioner. Alisa and I also had in common that we love nature, and we spent the first day of the year in the mountains. And yeah, I would say that I'm also a very curious person in terms of different worldviews and cultures. If that gives you a bit of a picture.
Yeah, that resonates as well. So yeah, let me just say we're really excited to bring this topic into the world of compassion, but also of this like fierce part, especially for women. And yeah, just create a space where we can express our full selves. And to give you a little bit of background information, Daniela and I have been practicing self-compassion for quite a while now, following Dr. Kristen Neff's work, who's a leading self-compassion researcher. And at some point, we realized that we really wanted to bring this into the world. And so we started running these fierce self-compassion workshops for women since October last year. And yeah, I mean, maybe for the ones that have no clue what the hell are we talking about, maybe we start with the basics. So compassion, what does that mean? So literally, if you take the word compassion, it means suffering with, which sounds like a little hard to do. But it really, like, a really important component of this is to also want to ease suffering. So it's like actually almost like a positive feeling. And in our case, we are talking about self-compassion. So basically compassion directed inwards, which means that we aim to ease suffering within ourselves. And in the past, we've been mostly focused on what Dr. Kristen Neff would call the yin of self-compassion, or tender self-compassion, which I think most of us associate with compassion or self-compassion, which basically has this like accepting side, just sort of working on accepting all our parts, accepting ourselves. And that's something that we as women are socialized to do anyway, the nurturing, accepting sort of part. But there are actually two sides to self-compassion, to compassion, that we have to integrate and that have to be in balance. And maybe, Daniela, you can talk a little bit about the two sides.
Yeah, just to bring again that tender side, right? That is that nurturing quality, that being gentle and kind towards ourselves because of the suffering that we are experiencing. And this side, or this aspect, allows us to accept ourselves, and it can bring a lot of inner healing. And then on the other side, we have this fierce side, this yang aspect that is related to taking action. And sometimes we have to do something to protect ourselves, right? To set boundaries, to say no. In other moments, self-compassion can support us to provide for ourselves, saying yes to those needs that we have been neglecting for a long time. And sometimes we might benefit from self-compassion to motivate ourselves to change those situations or behaviors that are harmful, right? And staying only with that tender side, that, as Alisa mentioned, we're as women, we're mostly socialized to do that. That is incomplete in the sense that we are lacking that empowerment to motivate ourselves to change, right? To move into action. And in our experience, bringing the two sides in balance, practicing that fear side that we, by default don't practice that much. It has supported us to bring that action element in, and also to challenge the way we think about what self-compassion is, right? Because we also realize how before we started this work, we only stayed on that more passive element of being with our suffering and being kind to ourselves, and this bringing acceptance. And since we've been doing this work, it's more about training that active part of it. And a more clear example of this can be how, with the tender side, for instance, if I'm going through feelings that are difficult for me, if I stayed on the tender side, I might just validate my feelings, even expressing them in some way, just accepting that this is what it is for me at the moment, and being that tender to myself because of that. And when we bring in the fierce self-compassion aspect, an example can be that we actually change the situation. We say, okay, this is difficult, and then what do I do to overcome it? I can set boundaries, I can have a conversation with someone, not anything that brings it into action. And yeah, also, I mean, there's been a lot of research, mainly from Christine Neff, on this topic, and it's also shown how the fear side is underdeveloped in women, and this has, of course, mental health effects, right? Because it's just we lose our power, we lose our empowerment by not taking action, right? And as I mentioned before, not this whole idea of setting boundaries, but another example can also be when we don't validate our needs, or we have this pattern of being people pleasing, putting the needs of others before our needs, right? And then we just don't know how to stop that, right? And by setting boundaries, we can, it can really support ourselves to improve our well-being or our life in general. I don't know if anyone can relate to this. If you want to comment something on the chat. Yeah, whether this whole idea of people pleasing or not being able to say no, if you've also come across this in your life, we'll be happy to read, or just to hear from you if you feel like sharing at this point.
Yeah, the whole thing about giving our power away by doing that, and knowing this, we can easily fall into this into the fallacy of blaming ourselves and asking, like, why am I not doing it? Why is it so hard for me? And there is a reason, and I think it's really important to understand that, traditional gender roles restrict, up to this day, restrict the ability of women to express the full range of who they are, which, by the way, also comes at a great cost for men, right? But while these internalized roles and expectations are harmful to all of us, they have created this power imbalance to the disadvantage of women. And that is still alive to this day because we've internalized these expectations and roles. And solving that takes a long time, even though like a lot of the structures have changed, it's still very alive. And what does that mean? It means that women are allowed and rewarded for being soft and nurturing and tender. And for men, it's more fierceness and forceful and assertive behavior that is expected and also rewarded, because if they show that behavior, they will be perceived as more competent. And when these same qualities are expressed by women, she's usually perceived as, as judgy, as emotional, as bitchy, even as arrogant, and it's difficult because she's actually saying what she needs. And she's perceived and judged as less competent, which, as you can imagine, has real consequences in life, but in work, in career. So this, we're aware of that, and so there's this fear of this backlash that is really real, and leads many women to actually suppress their fierce side in order to gain social approval. And this kind of social approval, I mean, is sort of like a very strong motivator for all of us, because we're social beings, and especially as women have largely been subject to being in a subordinate position. This fear of setting boundaries or saying no, or standing up, is partly a survival mechanism, right? Because we're conditioned to be nice and liked and attractive in order to be cared for, which used to be the case for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, right? So so it's pretty scary, or it feels pretty scary if we now try to change that. And that's just important to know, and to acknowledge that we don't have to blame ourselves for it. That's just sort of kind of logical that fear comes up, but it's also equally important that we know that that doesn't restrict us or force us to stay in this place, that we actually can do something about it, and that we can actually step back into our power and find our voice, and which is just essential for all of us, as it is for men to be able to express all of what they are, which includes tenderness, right? Mm. And so as we get to know this and also experience the practice, we just and stay with it, we get better at providing for ourselves, at protecting ourselves, at motivating ourselves for change, and just sort of collectively be part of this new story.
Yeah, thank you for that. There is also, I mean, it's really powerful to practice this in community of women, right? This is something that we've seen since we started practicing, just the two of us, like in a small group, in a two people group, and yeah, we saw this great support of having this accountability towards each other, right? And I'm thinking that if we would have done it together, maybe I would have stuck to the practice. Right? So it's like, yeah, maybe I would just have left it long time ago. And we saw the value of learning from each other's experience, to have that accountability to actually do it, right? Being supported and encouraged to get out of our comfort zone. And also hearing each other's stories of failure allowed us to move from this, there is something wrong with me, to, okay, so this is part of being human, right? This is part of our human experience. And also the success stories motivated each other, right? When I would hear a story of success from Elisa, I would get inspired and motivated. And then we started to see this with our bigger communities when we started to hold these workshops, because we were very motivated and eager to bring it to other women. I have to say that, yeah, super passionate about it. And we started to hold these 4-part workshops, and now it's going to be our third one, starting Sunday the 29th. So yeah, we're also very grateful for those women who had joined us already, and yeah, just celebrating that, or hoping that more women join. Yeah, so there is this, the power of intentional community is really meaningful here. Yeah.
And for all for us as well. It's just like you said, Daniela, I think there were so many books I passionately read, and then I put them into the corner and never ever like practice. And I fall in love with the concepts, but like I just don't do it. And to be in community and experience and share the stories is just such a gift.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, we talked so much about the importance of practice now, so we don't want to leave you without that. And we wanted to show you a short embodiment practice that is really useful and that can be basically used everywhere, wherever you are. And yeah, Daniela will guide you through different types of touch to
Mhm.
just see how they make you feel. And we invite you to linger in with these different types of touch for about 15 seconds or so to really let it sink in and let yourself sink into the experience and check in to see what effect it has on your body. And the idea is that we want you to find one touch that can help you feel soothed and comforted. So basically, embodying the tender one. And then also, we want to invite you to find one that embodies more this fear self-compassion, which makes you, which helps you to feel strong and empowered and supported. And if you notice, like as I say these words, I'm just like getting bigger. So it's a really embodied thing. And yeah, of course, people are different. So experimenting, yeah, it's crucial that you just experiment what works for you. And yeah, so just giving you some playful energy here to play around what resonates for you. Daniela, if you
Yeah.
would guide us.
Thank you for that. Yeah, just maybe before we start, just that moment of finding that posture, not just being feeling comfortable wherever you're sitting, as much as you can. We're gonna take 3 deep breaths together, also at our own rhythm. We inhale deep and long, and we exhale, relaxing, softening. Okay, and now we're gonna start trying some tender, soothing options. And one touch, let me just move this a bit. One touch would be to put 1 or 2 hands over your heart and just stay there for a little bit and see how it makes you feel. Another option can be crossing our arms in this way, if you can see me, and just giving yourself a gentle squeeze. And as we're giving ourselves a gentle squeeze, we don't lose contact with our breath. Okay, and we release gently. And now we're going to try some strong, fierce, supportive touch. And for that, we start by rolling our shoulders back a little bit and also kind of taking our space. Just like I am here in my body, present. And we can try putting a fist on our heart to bring the fierceness, and the other hand over it to integrate the tender side, the tender, soothing energy. Just for a few seconds, notice how this makes you feel. We release. Now we can try one hand on our heart and the other one on top of our solar plexus, like the upper part of the abdomen, and connect to what that posture, that gesture with your hands makes you feel. Okay, and we slowly release and come back to the screen. Thank you for joining the practice. We're not over yet.
Thanks, Daniela. Yeah, it's always amazing for me if so the second part was already the integration, right, of fierce and tender, and especially like the fist and sort of like the softer hand on top of it. As soon as like this feels very like powerful, but then this, when that comes into play, it turns into clarity. It has strength, but it has like a clarity, which is very cool, or at least that's how I perceived it this time. And
yeah, because
yeah,
because we've also seen how each time it can feel a bit different, right?
yeah,
And so depending on what we need, how is our mood that day.
yeah,
So like also the beauty of this is that it doesn't have to be in a certain way, and we actually see how it changes, right, from
yeah,
time to time.
yeah. Yeah, and that being said, the idea for you is to find one go-to touch that you can use pretty automatically, because the thing is with when we're stressed, when we are in difficult, emotionally difficult situations, that we go into fight or flight or freeze, stress response. And so often we're way too overwhelmed to think straight or to like think our way out of the situation. And so if we communicate with touch, so if you communicate compassion to our body directly, it's an easy and surprisingly effective way to care and support yourself in the situation. And that can bridge sort of the gap between the knowledge and the action. In a really nice way.
Yeah. Thank you. And seeing that we have a comment here, I think everyone can see the comments of each other, right?
They should be, but I think, Barbara, thank you so much for sharing your experience, and I will just read it out. Barbara shared that one recent experience was when she started working with a physical therapist, and after the first session, she knew that she didn't want to work with him again, but didn't want to make waves. Yeah. And the only way she moved herself to action was to think about what she would say to my daughter. Oh, this is beautiful. If she had that experience. And then she was able to transfer that willingness to help her stand up for herself. This is so beautiful, because this is exactly what we also sort of experienced in these groups, that sometimes we cannot really do it for ourselves, but then when we think, oh, but I'm doing this also for all these other women, or for, you know, your daughter in this case, I get goosebumps. This is really beautiful, and that's really the spirit that we've been seeing. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so let me just have a look at the time. Okay, I think we can start to close, and we really would love to invite you to not take part on our workshops if this has resonated with you. And as I said already before, we start next Sunday, the 29th of January at 7:30 Central European Time, 1:30 ET, Eastern Time. And in this session, so the first session, we're going to learn about the foundations of self-compassion. And then in the second session, we'll learn how to protect ourselves by setting boundaries. And then the third one, it's learn how to provide for ourselves by meeting our needs, saying yes to our needs. And the last session, it's about learning how to motivate ourselves to change what doesn't serve us. And then we have, for after those four workshops, we come together with the women who participated in those workshops once every 2 weeks. To keep practicing together, because this is where we see the power coming through. So thank you for those who have been here with us. Maybe some of you might watch this later. And we hope it served you in some way. And we will have the link, right, to the registration.
Yes, I put it in there. And just also say how grateful I am for this work, for being able to share that, for you, Daniela, and everyone that's here with us. And I just want to also mention that our sort of grander vision is to really build a community of women, and to nurture and support and empower each other, because we think that's crucial for a life-giving future, that we all step into our power, which means, each and every one, not only women, of course, but as we mentioned, that the power thing is like a women thing. And of course, there's a lot more complex issues to that, intersectionality and race. And there's also the work, I think, for men to have spaces where they can learn and express their full humanity. But for us, this is really one of we're very passionate about that mission or vision.
Yes, let's make it happen.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us, and we wish you a beautiful rest of your day, evening, morning, wherever you are, and hope to see you soon. Take care. Thank you.